Hey everybody, looks like we are live. We made it to yet another Wednesday. How's it going? I hope everyone is having a great week. Um, this is just a piece that I've been working on. I haven't finished it. I started it a while ago, even before my new color theory, but you still see the colors are pretty cool. I will be working with the new color theory today. Um, So, of course, this is Eddie Murphy, and we'll be using the orange mixture with the white to kind of lighten things up, to go ahead and darken things, to get some detail in here. That sort of really cool stuff. And let's see who we have. We have Bobby all the way from Cape Cod. How's it going? We have Patty from Illinois and Colette from Wisconsin. How are you, ladies? Mr. Steve Leahy from Ohio, hailing out of Boston area. And so I'm so glad you're here, Mr. Leahy. And we have Color Graphics, Roy from New Jersey. How are you? So good to see you. So it's so great to have you all here. I'm a little under the weather, but I'm still going to fight through this. The show must go on, that sort of thing. Um, How's the picture and the sound quality today? Just wondering. So I may do some paintbrush techniques today, as well as airbrush techniques. So a little bit of everything. Mr. Michael M., how's it going? So scary. What happened near you? I'm so glad you're okay. I didn't know you lived near Dundalk in Maryland, so that Key Bridge was horrible. So I'm glad you're okay. You weren't on that bridge. That was a very scary thing. I was thinking about you, my friend, from the Maryland area. So so glad you're okay. What a great group of people we have today. I'm so happy. And today we're just going to kind of, yeah, it was really rough, Steve, right? And to see it, everything now you see on camera, that's a difference. Everything you basically see. Mr. Raoul, how's it going, my friend? Great to see you. All the way from New Jersey. I'm so glad you're here. So, I was sick yesterday. I had a class and I was working on my airbrushes, and believe it or not, I forgot to clean them. So I cleaned them today, but that's rare that that happens. I think that's the first time that happened with me for about the last 6 years. So that was weird. So I cleaned out the airbrush. Let's just hope that they act accordingly. So last week I did the my color theory and my color mixing method with the oil painting, and I worked on it last week on the live stream, and so I've been working on it, and you can see just how the oil paint, now we still got a long way to go, but you can just see that the color theory works, that it really is hitting the colors on the money. And it's, with oil paint you have to build several layers, but it really does work. I've been pushing it through its paces, trying to make it break, so I haven't been able to break it yet, so that's good. So, be on the lookout for the color theory. I really feel that it's going to help a lot of people who struggle with color. It's really going to help a lot. And, oh, thank you. Colette says she loves my free color wheel. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that the color wheel, the free PDF is in the description, so that's cool if anyone wants to get the free color wheel. And here's another one I did with the oil painting, with the new technique. So you can see just that it does work. And I've actually been painting it without my education of color mixing, and just using the theory, which is really cool. So, oh, thank you, Patty. I appreciate that. So, now let's go ahead and work on our painting. So here I have some orange-white mixture, but then I found that, excuse me, that I actually it actually didn't need the orange to combat the blue shift because his skin is so orange that it automatically fought the blue shift. So I was able to just basically use white to lighten things up. Hey Ryan, how's it going? Oh, so you missed last week. Well, glad you're here now. I'm so glad you're okay. How's life over there in Canada? So I'm so glad you're here. We did miss you last week, definitely. So I have Pure Ref, which is a great program, and it does Pure Ref will bring your reference to the forefront, which is really wonderful, and so that is really great, and and so we have that, and let's see. Yes, that the bridge was a horrible tragedy. Mr. John Diekman, all the way from Wisconsin, how are you? I'm so glad to see you. They found two people today in a red pickup truck. That just breaks my heart. That's so sad. You know, it really is. Really sad. And so I'm so glad you're here, Mr. John. So now I have the white mixture. And I'm going to use the white mixture, but I got to get my reference from Pure Ref here. Because I want to set up coming in with some of the rich oranges and yellow oranges in his skin. So now I'm just going to use this mixture. This is definitely glasses material, right guys? Yeah, it is scary, Ryan. So scary. So I'm just pumping the trigger here, and I'm actually lightening up the area, setting up for the highlight, and also for the midtones that are coming. So that's basically what you have to do. You have to lighten things up to come in and bring in the midtones and also set up the highlights. So I'm just pumping that trigger and just being careful to make sure that I am keep my head in the game with the 1 second rule. So that's important. And always look for tip dry, especially when using white. So you'll see I'll do this throughout the painting is I'll paint it, go over with white, paint it. That's my normal procedure. So going over with white does two things. It lightens things so you can glaze over it, but it also assimilates the painting. There we go. So you see that? It looks really light, but we're going to be going over that with color. So the paint I'm using today is mostly the illustration paints. I'm using some of the Wicked. I'm mixing them together, but mostly the illustrations today. Here with the ear, I have to lighten this. So you see how I'm lightening it to actually come in later with the darks, you know? Yeah. Oh, the great feed on the mini. Oh, yeah, that was great. That really was. That really was impressive, Mr. Leahy. And that was last Thursday, I believe, right? Because with the Mustang logo in the sunset, I really love how that came out. That was really great, sir. Mr. Leahy's live streams are very educational and entertaining. So, two things. So you see, even here, I may go ahead and intentionally just fog it up. And then, so I'm setting up for coming in with the lighter flesh color. Because you can't make something lighter with paint because if something's darker, it's just going to make it darker. So you have to lighten it up first. And to lighten it up, you need something like either the white mixture or just very thin white. I'm using the 50/50 illustration white with just a little bit of orange in it, just the tiniest bit, like a minute amount. And Steve said he just cleared the logo painting today. Very cool. That is very exciting. Now, if you have trouble, if you feel it's not coming out, don't go and keep pulling back. That's the kiss of death, right? So you're going to get yourself a practice sheet of paper, and you're just going to see exactly what the airbrush is doing. And if you're happy with it, then you can proceed. So that's basically the route to go. See that? Now I'm not guessing. So you see how I'm lightening this up? So I'm setting myself up to come in with a mid-tone orange. And that's important to set it up. Like I said, you can't glaze on a darker color. You have to glaze on a lighter color. So that's basically what's happening. I may have to just raise the valve to raise the flow of paint. I find when I paint, I usually do I usually paint the whole picture a couple of times during a painting because we have to assimilate it, right? You know, that's what we have to. Oh, Mr. Brad Mummery, thank you so much for the super chat, my friend. I really appreciate that. I appreciate your friendship and always appreciate you being at the live streams. It wouldn't be the same without you, sir. Really appreciate that. It really helps out the channel, keeps it going, and even when I'm not feeling well, keeps it going, you know? So there's a lot of things going on in the area. It's not just a value. There's turning of muscle and tendons and bones. So you see, it's important to get that. So you see, like with this little orange and white mixture, I'm actually sculpting again and sketching once more. And I'm building up that white. Even though it's orange here, I have to make it white so I can come in with the orange. I can glaze, you know what I mean? So it's important to... I don't have the ability to scratch, and I like to paint without scratching because of my, you know, my classical training. So we try to, from where I am, where I come from in my training, is to try and stay away from tricks as much as possible, and or effects, you know. So that's why my thinking is you rarely see me do any kind of scratching or anything like that, or erasing. I think it's a great technique, but it's not my background. So I do teach it though. If you took my classes or, you know, the mentorship program, I do teach it because it's a great technique for students to learn. So what's Eddie Murphy up to these days? I'm not sure. Great question. Uh, I don't know why I decided to paint him, you know. I mean, I think he's great. I thought this was a good picture, and I grew up, you know, watching Eddie Murphy. He actually grew up in Teaneck, New Jersey, which is the very town that I was born in. So that was interesting. So he's a fellow Jersey guy. He's a little older than me. So you see how I'm sketching with the white, because I'm working on the highlights. And of course I'm going to come back in with the highlights yet again, but definitely working that out and then coming back, because like I said, you can't go lighter over dark. You know, it just doesn't work. So the way I like to paint is I like to do darker over light, and so it's a lot easier. It's what I'm used to painting when I'm doing oils and pastels and watercolor. So this is basically mostly illustration colors today. And Coming to America was the best one. Oh my God, that was so great. Yeah. When you think of Hakeem, no. When you think of garbage, think of Hakeem. I love that scene. He went to Queens to find a queen. One of my favorite movies. Actually, I had seen that movie in a movie theater. So, how's everyone feeling with the use of white and orange? Do you use it a lot in your paintings? Do you... Hey, Astral, all the way from the UK, how are you, sir? So great to see you. See, for me, I don't want to be afraid of the white and the orange mixture because it's so important. So I force myself to get over that fear, right? Go right in, attack it, attack that white mixture. Am I running out? Let's see. Nope, not yet. Oh yeah, Eddie Murphy had some good ones. I didn't like no, I loved Coming to America. I didn't like Trading Places as much. Beverly Hills Cop was good. Oh, so, oh, you do have it, the white mixture and orange. Yes, me too, my friend. See that? Great minds think alike. Sometimes you have to tweak it depending on what you're painting. I find if something's on the orange side, you can get away with white because the orange is automatically fighting the blue shift, like in here. So this is almost pure white. But in the blue, then you would have to go in with the orange because I think it would do some weird stuff. But I would always test it out. So now I'm going to come into his hand here, and I'm just going to sculpt. Just sculpting and sketching, right? That's basically... Ah, so glad to hear it, Astral. How's your son in Japan going? And Mr. John, how's work over there? I know you're usually working hard. Is it really busy lately? I hope not. Colette, how'd you do with the snowstorm last week? So let's say you do it and it gets a little orange. That's okay. You give it another shot of the lighter color, and that solves the problem. See, that just solves the problem. So, uh, oh, so your son in Japan's very busy. Oh, that's good. Busy is good. That's for sure. I'm going to work on his ear. Okay. And they are waiting for the cherry blossoms to come out in Japan. Wow, that's so cool. So when you set up with the light, then we can come in with the darker color and really get that glow underneath, almost like the way that stained glass is, right? Stained glass is only effective during the day. At night, it just doesn't look as good. And Mr. Steve Leahy has to head out. He's going to download the PDF tomorrow. Thank you, sir. And have a great night, sir. And check out Steve Leahy's live stream tomorrow at 2 o'clock still, or is it 1 o'clock now, depending on what happened with the UK. But is it 2 or 1? Because I don't know if the UK had their daylight savings time yet. Okay, so now I'm loving it. So before I do that, I'm going to come in with some paintbrush techniques. And I'm so sorry for the coughing. Forgive me. And I'll be right with you. Okay, I'm back, and I just need a spoon. Be right back. Okay, let's see. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to put some sugar in here. Let's see how this goes. Oh, that's good. Okay. So I have a nice hot lemon tea here. Michael says, I have some cough drops. I need one. Yes, send it on over, my friend. Got a little bit of a cough today. So what I'm going to do, guys, is I'm going to come in with that white along the lips, right? So I'm going to put a little bit of the Createx Illustration 50/50. Put that on my palette, on my wet palette, and then I am going to put a little bit of this color, and this is the Illustration Opaque Orange. So that's an interesting color, opaque orange. I like the opaques a lot. I think they're very cool. So this is a brand new one. I'm going to pull this up. Okay. Move this over here. I'm going to shake this really well. Give it a really good shake. Put that right there. And maybe just, let's see, where do I have it? That's 3, 6, 4. Hey Dwayne, how's it going, my friend? San Luis Obispo. How are you? How is your week? And I know you've been having crazy weather over there in California. Is everything kind of calming down over there, I hope? I really hope. You guys have really been getting it in the neck lately. Last couple of years even. last summer, last winter, with all the crazy snowstorms and everything. I'm going to get a nice detail brush here. I like this one. This one's nice. Hobby Lobby special. And so I'm going to find... Now what I have to do, which is really important, is get some water. So I'll just get one of these little cups and I'll put some water in there, because you definitely want to don't want to kill your paintbrush right off the bat, right? So let's bring this over here. And let's see. So cool. Dwayne says, hello to everybody. That's cool. Ready for the storm starting tonight. Oh man, so there's a storm starting tonight, sir? Please be careful. So a little red. So I'm going to put some illustration red. Actually, let's see what we have here. Oh, okay. Let's try this. Illustration opaque red. We'll use a little bit of that. See that? Little 1 ounce bottle. And then we'll add some white to that. Okay, so I always like doing a dry brush technique, because this way you're in control. So I get rid of some of the excess liquid. And now we'll zoom in. And, well, I'll zoom in. And that's really bright. And that's okay. So I'll just dry brush it even more. Let's see if we can zoom in for you. There we go. And we'll come in a little bit. Now, so it's going to work out, because I'm going to be coming in with the airbrush and getting the right color. So like up here is just some setting up, you know. And I'm dry brushing, so there's very little paint coming off. Especially right here, we have this really wonderful highlight here. I'm going to bring that down. Astro said his body clock is always summertime. I think it's nuts moving the clocks back in October. Yeah, it is. And I'm the opposite. So I feel the opposite. I'm definitely an autumn and winter guy. But yeah, I think it's torture to do the clocks back and forth, whether you're a winter guy or an autumn guy or a summer guy, because you're thrust into it. There's no ease into it, and I think that's the rough part. There we go. And I can kind of work out some of the texture here. Let's go a little bit higher. Let's see if I can zoom in here. Hey! How are you? It's great to see you. Is that Rebecca? I think it's Rebecca. Let me see. Now, Rebecca, if it's Rebecca, she's from Arkansas or Alabama, I think. But I know it begins with an A. It's in the South. Let's see. And see how I'm setting up the eye there. Oh, Rebecca, it's great to see you. I really love the painting that you did. So incredible. Yes, Alabama. Go Crimson Tide, right? So glad you're here. And so, how was everything at Drew's? Was it really wild? The work that you all did is just out of this world. Oh, thank you, Rebecca. I appreciate that so much. More than you know. And just always trying to get that academic look, you know, like, Jean Leon Jerome or uh, Angra, you know, Bouguereau. That's the kind of look I'm always going for. Whether I get it or not, that's yet to be seen, but I always strive for it. And so, why am I coming in so light? Because I'm setting up for coming in with the airbrush with the correct color, you know? Uh, yeah, I could imagine Drew's class. It's just the techniques that you learn is just so incredible. But your work is just above and beyond what I see all the time. So it's one thing to use the airbrush, but it's another thing to come in and utilize the paintbrush. And that's the cool part. Oh, you're very welcome. Let's see. Okay, now can we do something in the ear? Yes. We're going to dry brush that. Make sure your brush is nice and dry, otherwise it's going to deposit too much, uh, too much paint, and that's not what you want. And with the paintbrush, I could get a nice hard edge, which is great, and kind of set up uh, the airbrush a little better than if you didn't do it. Use a paintbrush. Little under the weather today, but that's okay. The show must go on. Okay. Now let's go ahead and do the same with, well, it's a little more powerful light here on the lip here, so let's not skimp on the intensity of the light hitting his lower lip there. So you could actually get rid of a lot more of with dry brush, you can get rid of more of the moisture and thus lightening the amount of paint that you put down. And it's great. And remember, don't worry if it looks like whoever you're painting. That comes way later. Just worry about the shapes and the rest will take care of itself. Worry about the technique. And you see how I'm setting up. for the airbrush, which is really important. There you go. So really intensifying those highlights, which I think is even better with the dry brush technique. And yeah, it is intense here, but that's okay. It's really important to do the glazing technique over here. Okay, so we have some intense lights down on his thumb. Let's make sure that it's intense enough so when we do our glazing with the airbrush, we'll have enough light to kind of glow from underneath. Kind of like fresco painting. Pastel painting uses that technique as well. Mr. Dave, how's it going? Mr. Gregory, great to see you. Yeah, why so serious, Eddie Murphy? That's so true. How's everything going? Are you still in Texas, Mr. Dave? I'm so glad you're here, sir. And currently, Mr. Dave is in Oklahoma, but I believe he's on business in Texas. People might ask, Tim, why do you want to know, like, where people are from? Because it's so important, you know, that you all are not just, you know, people in the, you know, out on YouTube, that you're important, and I remember details about you guys and girls, because that's important to me. Oh, back in Oklahoma, very cool. Very, very cool. Good to be back. And his fingernail right here, we're going to put that in. There we go. Because we're going to set up for those lights. And there's some brilliant lights on the digit next to his nail. Has some brilliant highlights. You know, really nice. And so I'm so glad you're here, sir. And thank you so much for hanging out and being part of the action, Dave. I really appreciate you. And we have Mr. Bobby. How's it going? Mr. Bobby says, Tim, it's impressive how you remember where everyone is from, because you're all so important to me. You know? I mean, you know, my YouTube channel doesn't have a lot of subscribers. Well, to some might see it as a lot, but I have 4,358 subscribers as of today. And the thing is, I know my subscribers, most of them, and that's so important, you know, that's really crucial. I'd rather have 20 subscribers and know everyone than 400,000 subscribers and not know anybody. And, you know, who wants to be, you know, not remembered? I know I want to be remembered. So right here we have this beautiful, beautiful orangey red that we're going to come in here with the hand. Right over here as well. And we're going to come back in with the paintbrush technique, I mean the airbrush, in a little bit. Let's see over here. Kind of running out of room here. I need a bigger studio one day. Right now I'm very thankful for the studio I have. Very, very thankful. Okay. Oh, so I'm not painting his ring because, you know, we can omit things we want, but I can paint his watch, so let's do that. I'm going to start putting in some of the lights of his watch here. And let's see. And so we have this coming over here, this coming out. And it's important to simplify things. It's a watch, but try and simplify it as much as possible. And, you know, if you just put in the basics, people will fill in the rest. So that's cool. Okay, so I'm going to wash out my brush. Looks like coconut water, but it's not. And so that was courtesy of the wet palette, which was great. And I want to thank my friends over at Createx for creating such an amazing product and making airbrush painting so much fun. So kudos to my peeps over in Createx. I just want to say thank you to the men and women there who are, you know, really dedicated to the Airbrush Society. So I just want to say a big thanks to them. Now here's my orange mixture. I'm going to keep this airbrush dedicated to that. And let's see what's in here. What's in your wallet? Oh, we do have this orange color, but let's see. You know, usually I'll mix it up, but let's see. I'm not feeling too well today, being a little lazy. So let's see. So I'm actually going to go ahead. So the first thing I want to do is I want to come in with my next lighter color. And so that would be right here. Because I want to work into dark. So I want to go from light to dark, right? So I'm going to go to my next lighter color. Then this really bright white color. Oh my God, Mr. Oh, that's a record. I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. Wow, Dave, that's amazing. Here's to your memory and appreciation of us, Tim. We are all here because we appreciate you. Man, I appreciate you, Dave. You're amazing. Thank you, sir. Thank you. I mean, the amount of support that you all give me really lets me know that I'm doing the right thing, you know? And some weeks get really tough, you know? But you all really make me feel great. And thank you so much. You are just amazing, everyone. Thanks for hanging out with me. Thanks for, you know, putting up with me. And, you know, it's a great journey. I think I have something like 521 videos already, and every one is like an adventure. Like the first day doing live streams, and so it's just great. And you know, it's the people that's important. You know, you guys and women, you are what's important, not the art. You all. And I'm always keeping that to the forefront. That's what the important thing is. That's what makes the difference. And I'm just going to clean out my Extreme Patriot Arrow. Ah, thank you so much, Mr. Bobby. I appreciate that. Uh, you know, I love airbrushing. I love painting. I've been doing it since I was a little kid. And if I could bring that love to somebody, you know, that fire that kind of gets you out of bed in the morning, then that's what it's all about. It's not about anything else. Okay, so now I have this color, and my color theory is coming out pretty soon. So I'm just going to find the color, and now I'm going to figure out how to mix the color. And let's see, we'll close this. There we go. Okay, so here's my target color, And now I have to figure out the elements of that color. And we're right over here. And so what's interesting is, you know, it's really important to get what colors to mix first, because that's the ingredients, and then you have to get the percentages. So looking at this and all the elements, I can see exactly what we have to do. So now I am almost there. Okay, so I see exactly what I have to do. So now I'm going to get one of these cups, and I think I have this color. I think this is probably going to be the one. Maybe. So I'm going to come in with this right here, which is the orange, and okay. And now, looking at that, it is very close to the lightest gray in the world. It's like a light color. We're going to put that in, and let's see how this goes. And you know, it's great when the colors, you know, you find the colors right away. And this is a nice color, maybe just a tiny bit of, tiny little bit of white in here could kind of ring the bell. Let's see. We're very close, but you can see just how close we get those colors, right? It's very fast. It's lightning fast. And that's what I love about this technique of color mixing. It's very quick. Now we just have to make sure that we thin it up enough so it actually flows through the airbrush. Now I should, and we really should, so I am going to do a good example. So I'm going to put this through the strainer. So let's put it through the strainer. Yeah, you know it is. I'm kind of living on the edge, sir, you know? That's not good. So this is funny. I was going to use my strainer without a screen inside. That would have been really effective. Let's see. I have another strainer. Theoretically, I have another. There it is. Okay, great. Alright, so I'm just going to, see, I have my strainer here. I'm going to put in my color. Just a little dab will do ya. And of course, before I do anything, I always want to make sure, and it's good to always make sure that you test it out on a scrap piece of paper, just to make sure your airbrush is going well and everything like that. So, you know, keeping my head in the game, I know I have to come in with this kind of pinkish color over here, because what I'm doing is setting up for the darker colors, right, which is going to come pretty quickly. They do, because they'll last forever. Good question, Astral. And what I do is I have these like little pipes, and I learned this from Mr. Scott McKay. You can purchase these, and they're great. And when it gets too dirty, you just replace it. So that's pretty cool. So they'll last forever. Just the strainers, the screen doesn't last, you know? So it's slightly more orange, and I know it doesn't look much different, but it's all setting up. So just slight darker. And that's it. You know, it's all about patience, everyone, you know? It really is. And yeah, it is very close. So could I have skipped this? Maybe, but it's better to be thorough than be careless. So so yeah, I'm happy that I'm going a little bit more thorough than probably needs to be. But it's not hurting the painting. If anything, it's helping. And you can just see how this really kind of sculpts, which I love. And the color mixing technique, I was able to nail the color. This kind of light orange transparent color. And then just continue setting this up, and then we'll come in with a darker color. And then we'll just keep getting darker, you know? That's probably the route we're going to go. Oh, you're welcome there, Mr. Astro. Well, I was going to go with his lips, but they're more on a pink side than this orangey color. There we go. I'm kind of happy that I got rid of that kind of nasty looking kind of blue shift on the edge. Dave says, I think he has the same pipe filters too. Popular magnetic case. Yes, definitely. Those are great. And you use them? Oh, let's see. So, uh, unlike, so magnetic case helps to keep them in place in his studio where you know where they are, unlike the stencils. Do you use them as paint strainers, uh, Mr. Dave? So some people might ask, is it hard going from oil painting to pastel to airbrush? And I think what happens is that um, you you get a little nervous going from one. So if you're working in airbrush for a week and then you go into oils, you get a little nervous about it. And I think the same thing happens when you are working in airbrush or oils, and then you go into airbrush. It just takes like, you know, a minute or two to get back in the saddle, so to speak. I think if you stick with one medium, you don't have that. But what you do lose is the advantages of, you know, knowing one technique from another, and how you can borrow from the other medium to do things that you normally wouldn't do. So that's really cool. Yes, definitely. So yeah, that's where I learned it. Mr. Scott McKay on his live stream, and I believe Thursday nights at 8 o'clock are his usual time. If anyone hasn't checked him out, really good. Actually, not good, excellent, excellent stuff. He gives so much great information. It's unbelievable. So I have this orange. Whoops. And we're going to come down here and see if we have that. Yeah, a little bit here on his finger. Let's see, over here, a little bit here. There we go. So, you know, his skin tone, it's really interesting how, all ethnicities, the skin tone colors are basically the same. I mean, with slight variations. It's really amazing. Okay, so now we're setting up for the next darker color. So I'm going to extract the color from here. We don't need it anymore. Now we're going to go to the next darker color, everybody. And let's see, I'm going to have a sip of my tea here. Cinnamon and lemon. Really makes me feel better. My sister made it for me, so that was great. And Bill says when he was younger, "Hey Bill, how's it going? Bill Miranda, how are you, sir? Always a pleasure. Thank you so much for hanging out." And Bill says when he was younger, he wanted to try everything. Now he's old and he sticks what I do most. And that's fine, there's nothing wrong with that. And I think that's great. It's good to be, really delve into something. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. It's like being a writer in one language is still a great writer. Being a writer in two languages is different. And not everyone, has those sensibilities to do it. I'm just going to wash out my strainer. I'll be right back, guys. Okay, my strainer is washed out, so now we're going to go ahead and mix the next color. And I'm not going to go too far. And oh man, thanks Bill for stopping by. Now Bill, where are you from? Are you from Jersey, sir? I have a feeling you're from Jersey. I don't know why. Pardon the coughs, guys. So sorry. I'm going to go with the next darker color. And so right here, this is a nice color. I really love this color. So we're going to find out how to mix this one. Let's see. Beautiful. It's not quite a mid-tone, right? It's not quite a mid-tone, which is good. And okay, very interesting. Very similar to the other color. But wow, it's very similar to the other color. And let's get the other element. And then, okay, so I do see what's happening here. And let me get my ratio here. And so we're looking at one, okay. So now we are going to mix this. And let's make this happen. Let's see. We are going to go right over here. Hey, Art by Ty, how's it going? So great to see you. Bill, you're from Philadelphia, now in Virginia. Oh, close enough. How's it going, sir? So glad you're here. So in Philly, you were right by the Deptford Mall, right? I went to school at Glassboro State College. So let's see, I'm going to go 4. Okay, and we're going to get the right color here. And we're going to see if we get that color. It's funny, I'm a painter, but I hate getting messy. Move this over here. And now sometimes when you're mixing color, a lot of things happen with the variation of, you know, how thick the paint is. So that would mess up your ratio. So you got to be careful. And oh, Art by Ty says he's excited his airbrush is finally airbrushing again after the nozzle replacement. That is so cool. I'm so glad. Yeah, that's so important. And Dave says, Tim, this is a commission, or did you just wake up and say, I want to paint Eddie Murphy? Exactly. It's funny. You know, what is it that, makes us do these paintings, right? I just seen it, and I'm like, that's a good looking painting. So I just went ahead and kind of went for it, right? It's funny how that happens. Oh, the Deptford Mall. Do you remember the Deptford landfill that used to be there? Wow, that was rough when I was at Glassboro. Let's see if I got the color right. Ah, thanks. Yeah, Dave, it's interesting how, we come up with these subject matter. I am a little more streamlined with my subject matter, so I'm actually happy with this color. It has a nice richness to it, and so pretty close to what I want. And then we're going to add some of our 4011 because we love it. Thank you, Createx, for 4011. And okay, so now we have this cleaned out, and I am going to just wipe out the cup because that could really ruin your day, and also the cap. I had the cap really mess up my color one time, and ever since then I always wipe the cup. And so we have our color. I have it thinned out, and we have our strainer, and we're going to push this in. It's a little darker jump than I normally would be, but I just wanted to speed the process up a little bit, which isn't always the best thinking, but we'll see how it goes if I'm paying the ultimate price for it. And Mike says that's a good thing. It wasn't Mr. T that he would need a lot of gold. Yes, exactly. I remember Mr. T saying, I pity the fool. He's great, isn't he, Mr. T? So now we have this more deeper orange color. And we're going to be careful of where we put it in. So right next to the other color. And let me get my screen here so I can see what you guys are seeing. Okay. So I'm building up the light midtones and then setting up the darks, but I can't do that until I kind of plow the field, right? And I got to make sure I don't get too rich, but I also got to make sure I'm not afraid of the color. There we go. Because if I go too rich, it's not the end of the world. It just means I have to repeat the process. There we go. And let's see. Astral says it's great that our paints are in convenient bottles. Keeps things more tidy. Definitely. So true. And Mr. Dave is laughing. Yeah, it really does. I mean, when I first started airbrushing, I always painted out of tubes, right? So when I had these liquid, I was like, how in the world am I going to use this? But over time, you start learning. And one of the things I love about Createx is that, their bottles has the dropper, and that makes a big difference. And remember, we can always come back in with the orange color, the orange and white mixture, right? We can always come back in with that. And the A team was his favorite as a kid. I remember Mr. T, they had to knock him out every time he went on a plane. And the guy Starbuck from Battlestar Galactica was in that, which I really, really enjoyed his character, Starbuck. I thought that was amazing. Amazing show, the first one. And so you see how we just slowly build up these rich values. And we can just keep going darker. And we have tip dry, so always make sure that you have a little test sheet here, right? And I can go over, remember it was too white before? Just going over there just brings it right back to where it should be. Kind of bringing this over. There we go. And we're going to come in darker, but we're just working this out, and then we can come back in with the white, come in with darker, kind of going that back and forth. But it's definitely letting it cook, right? Someone says, how do you cook rice? And I don't know the exact minute. You just let it cook. Uh, you kind of just let it happen. So I'm coming in with this kind of interesting light orange color, and I'm setting up for the deeper colors, and then I'm going to come back in with the lighter colors. Just going back and forth. And by doing this, going back and forth, going lighter, then going darker and going lighter, eventually you will have an assimilated portrait where everything looks like a face, not a bunch of features that are together. Now I may have to lighten this area uh, of the orbital ridge and everything, but we'll see how that goes. Astral says, yeah, Face, that was his name, definitely. He was great. And Michael says, okay, folks, he has to go. It's been a long couple of days here in Baltimore. Yes, take care of yourself. So sorry what's going on over there. And thank you so much for hanging out. It's always a pleasure, Mr. Michael. Love your artwork that you're doing. Keep up the great work. And always a pleasure. So how's life going out there in San Luis de Obispo, Mr. Dwayne? How's your artwork going? And we're going to do the same thing with his hand, but I don't see I see more of a deeper orange. But we can set that up with this lighter orange, right? It's okay. We can set it up and go darker, and what that will do is create a nice sense of layering of color. it's one thing to get the right color, and you can get the right color right at the bat, but you still have to layer it, right? We're not, uh, we can't just put down the right color like we're painting posters. We have to build up texture and build up layers of color to get the complexity of the forms and the ebb and flow of skin and muscle and fat compartments and bone, you know. So it can't be just by mixing the one color. What you have to do is just continue layering it until you arrive, right? You still have to arrive. And that's the way I was trained. And it's funny because we're not exempt from it. So we still have the white mixture, right? And let's see how that goes. If I could come in and kind of lighten up some areas where, and that's too light, you know, and that's okay. We can definitely fix that. So nothing is we can't fix it. Dwayne says been busy, getting busier that time of year right now, 4 months out. Oh, that's amazing. Congratulations. I love that. I love when artists are making money, you know, especially good people like yourself. So you see how I'm coming back and forth, going back in, and that's how we kind of build things up. Get that feeling of organic, you know, organic person. Not, you know, not like a machine, you know. A lot of times when you see AI, sometimes AI is amazing, but sometimes AI will make the people look like they're made out of chrome or something. So that's what this kind of negates. And just keep going back and forth, right? And you'll see after this, I'm going to mix the darker color and we're going to bring that in and it's really going to start to pop. Now here, I think I went too opaque. So, so here's a trick. Well, not a trick. If your color is too opaque, you can come over it with a, you know, with a white or orange depending on it, and you can make it a lot more transparent. So that's a way to do that. Now, is there a set way of doing it? No, you have to play with your paint to get where you want to be. So that's important. So you can see how different my work is looking now that I am working in oils. So, you know, just fresh from working with oils, you know, there's a different feel to what I'm doing. And so Bill says, hey, Tim, how do you like cold press illustration board? Cold press is interesting. Now, that's the little bit of a rougher, and it is a lot of fun. So, and I'm sure you know this, Bill. Cold press has more texture, so you know you don't have as much spidering and stuff like that, and that's good because I've been working on cold press paper since I was a kid, you know, so I'm used to it. But um, those are the advantages. The disadvantages, you're not getting that slick look that hot press does, right? You know, you just get that kind of real slick kind of feel to it, and that's nice. But you know, there's a there's a price to being paid for that. You know, you have the problem of skating or spidering a lot. You have to lower your air pressure. You have to thin out your paint. So you have to kind of change your work habit to deal with the hot press. But the cold press is nice because I feel the cold press is very fine art, right? In its approach. What do you think, Bill? Do you agree? And Dwayne says for him personally, the smoother the surface, the better. Yes, because Dwayne is a custom painter, so his forte is a nice, smooth, slick surface. So if someone like, you know, what Bill does, what Dwayne does, he would definitely like to have that. Oh, Ryan says he's afraid to check out. Take care, Ryan. I'm sorry I didn't miss your message. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I appreciate you, sir, coming here all the way from Canada. You're amazing. Love my Canadian peeps. Yeah, the tooth on cold press. I do like it. So I use the illustration. I use the Canson Colorline paper. I it's like a cardstock. So there's a smoother side and a rougher side. I picked the smoother side. So it's very similar to a cold press illustration board, which is nice, which is great. So I think I would probably like the cold press as well. How about you, Bill? Are you a cold press guy or do you like the smoother hot press? I know Dwayne likes the hot press. And I can pose that question off to everyone out there. Do you like working on a smooth surface or you like some texture to it? Love to hear your thoughts. Very important to me. So the nostril was a little dark, right? So let's lighten that up. And then right here, you see the dark of the nostril? That was just very muddy. So I don't want muddy color. So watch what happens when I do this. This is really great, everybody. It's a great thing. See how dark and muddy that was? So now I'm going to go over it with the white, a little bit of an orange mixture, and I'm just going to set it up. So question might be, why do I go ahead and lighten it just to darken it? Because for the colors to be effective, you have to have something light underneath, not something darker underneath. And that's so important. And that's what fresco painters do. If you see a fresco painter, or, you know, yeah, definitely, someone like the Mexican muralists, they would put plaster down and then immediately paint on top of it. And what that allows, so you see how I'm lightening this? Because A, it's too dark, and B, I'm going to set that up. So it might look crappy right now, but that's okay, because, you know, we have a plan, right? You want to have a plan. And but you see how he's coming out very you know, unified. And I did that on purpose. So I'm setting that up. And like I said, let's not be afraid of color. Let's go and attack it. You know what I mean? Let's go headlong into it. Once more into the breach, my friends. And layers, yes. And Bill says he likes the cold press. I think the pros out there, the pros outweigh the cons. Yes, definitely. And layers, Bill, definitely. So true. So been a little under the weather lately. And cold are annoying because, you know, you still could work. It's like walking in sand, right? It's just really rough. So there you go. So you see how I'm just coming back and forth. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back while I have this kind of darker color here. I'm going to come back and just kind of bring this darker color in again. And just, you know, keep working it back and forth. So right here, so here's a keen example. So right here, this value is not light enough. It's kind of, if you ask me, it's too opaque. And I want to kind of have a smoky feel to it. So I'm going to come back to my white. And Astral says he likes to get close to the old CS10 board. Is that Bainbridge? Does anyone remember Bainbridge? They were around in the 80s. I don't see them anymore. So tell me, what was the CS10 board like? I don't remember them. So you see how I set that up? See how it's like really, I just kind of killed it? But that's okay, because I'm going to come back in with this deeper color. Oh, Frisk. Yeah, someone just talked about that. I think it was Mr. Leahy, someone on his live stream was saying it, right, guys? So here I am. So you see how now when I set that up with the white, now I have this really beautiful luminous color there. Much nicer. So sometimes you have to break an egg to make an omelet, right? So sometimes you got to kind of ruin it to fix it. You know, or even just, you know, risk ruining it, right? Just to say, you know what, I'm going forward with this. And you can get rid of some of the kind of nastiness that happens. Especially like me, I work, so right here with the nasal labial fold, right here, this is the nasal labial fat pad, right? And here's the fold. And remember how it was really too dark? And now I'm coming in with this interesting color here. It's not as dark as it's going to be, but I'm setting it up and it's becoming super, super luminous. And we're just going to keep playing with it back and forth, you know. We'll come back in with the paintbrush techniques. And right here, it's really interesting because you have the zygomatic bone, and then you have the malar fat pad over here. So we can actually just sculpt this, right? See how I'm sculpting the forms, right? I'm not worrying about ruining the painting. I'm worrying about getting it right. And if I keep that kind of boldness, I'm going to be just fine. But we have to be bold. So right here, you can see that we have this shape correct, but it's this horrible, yucky, muddy color. So we don't want that. So we have to kill it before we bring it back to life. And let's see what I missed. Bill says, you remember Bainbridge. You can't get any more. Yeah. So my teacher, Harvey Dinnerstein, we would work on Bainbridge board. And it was really fantastic. It was just great because we would get the Bainbridge board, get the same size, tape it on stretchers, canvas stretchers, and then we would put the gesso marble dust mixture, and we were able to paint pastel oils on it. It was really wild. I was very blessed to be able to study with such a great painter like Harvey Dinnerstein. Unfortunately, he's no longer with us, and that's horrible, you know, because he was my true mentor. And honestly, that's why I started oil painting again. When he passed away, I felt I needed to continue what he taught me. Even though I stopped for years, I thought it was really important, out of respect for him, that I continued. Not stopping what I'm doing, but continued what he taught me, because, I mean, what he taught me was beyond amazing. So by going back and forth, I'm getting that three-dimensional quality. And so now I'm going to come back in with this color and kind of work back and forth. So if I zoom out, you can see that we are setting up. And I'm not caring what it looks like. I'm caring about where it's going, right? And that's what you want to do. You want to have a game plan and you want to care about where it's going. It's like a football team, right? So let's say a football team and their game plan is to run the ball, 100 times during the game, and they start losing, and all of a sudden they start passing, and that's not their strength. They lose sight of the game plan and they lost right away. So the same is that we have to stay with the game plan because that's what got us here. And regardless of what it looks like, you stick with the plan. And then afterwards you can assess, right? And so Astral says it was perfect cutting stencils. Wow, that's cool. Astral says he did a lot of architectural airbrush designs and the stencils had to be accurate. Wow, that's really cool. It's great how, Astral and a lot of people came from a different art world than I did. But here we are hanging out together now, and that's what's really amazing. It's all the same stuff, one way or another. And we're going to come in with the orange. Now I'm going to mix the darker color. And when we come into the darkest darks again, that's when things will really start popping. Very similar how I would oil paint everybody. Great artist out there, Steve Gibson. He's an oil painter. And he just does incredible things. Just an amazing painter. And he's an oil painter, and he brings his oil painting techniques to airbrush, the way he sees it. And you definitely can see there's something very special in his approach. And I really admire that. So any of you guys out there, guys or girls, fan of Steve Gibson? Wonderful painter. Extremely talented. And like I said, it's where we're going that's important, not where we are. See how I'm bringing this over. See how that's too dark and too muddy? So that's not good enough. So right now it's done. It looks okay, but I want it to look better than okay. So I'm going to destroy it by coming in with the orange and white mixture. The whole thing, you have to destroy it to fix it, I guess. Here goes nothing. So I'm coming in with the next dark color, and then I'm going to come in, coming in with this dark color, and I'll come in with the next dark color. But you can just see how much more life is in that color than it was before. It was just this really dark, dingy gray. Like I say, you could get away with it, but we don't want to get away with it. We want to do something extraordinary. And let's see what I missed. Astral says, no Cricut cutters back then. Yeah, that's true. That came out like when, in the 90s? And Mr. Bobby says, never heard of him, but I don't have an art background. Oh, Harvey Dinnerstein? Yeah, he was great. Definitely well known in New York because he taught at the Art Students League National Academy, which is really great. And Rebecca says, wow, Tim, you're really bringing life to Eddie. Thank you for all you do. Good night. Have a great night, Rebecca. Thank you so much. Little by little, we'll get there, right? So thank you so much for taking the time and hanging out with us, Rebecca. Rebecca, such an amazing artist, and just such an honor to see you at the live stream. Thank you, thank you. Alabama, go Crimson Tide, right? Dwayne says he still cut most of his own stuff by hand. Wow. He uses his cutter mostly with hand. That's amazing. Well, you know what? You know how to do it before, right? What isn't broke, don't fix it, right, sir? We'll put some we'll put some color in the shadow side here. Sometimes you have to just risk it and say, what happens if I bring this color over? And it works. Might not be the right color, but puts you in that direction. And you can kind of sketch that way, right? And that's what I'm doing, kind of sketching it. Yes, and I realize it looks like a lot of nothing is happening, but it really is because we're just like assimilating everything. And right here you see it might be a little rich, so I might just dust over that, get rid of that. Now, we got to go to the next dark color, right everybody? So, let's see. So now, I'm going to find the next color here. This is a richer color, a richer, beautiful, darker color. Love it, love the color. So with this technique, you really start falling in love with color, with my color mixing method. You really do. And you fall in love with the fact of how fast everything moves. And you just realize how close all the colors are. It's really scary. Okay, so this is a definite different feel. This color is a different feel. And let's see, we'll come right up to here. We'll mix this gray. Maybe just a little bit darker. So we get this correct. Okay, so we'll give this a shot. I think this is going to give us what we want. So let me go ahead and make this happen. New cup, new day. And let's see. Dwayne says exactly. Yes, definitely. Nothing beats experience. It's so true. Okay, so we got to get our orange, right? So we're going to go with this guy, Illustration Orange. This is 5054. And once again, I want to thank Mr. Brad and Mr. Dwayne for the amazing super chats. Thank you so much. So once you have the ingredients, then you have to figure out how do you mix them, right? So let's make sure we have that again. Okay, so you look in here. Okay, so let's take a look. Go to the videotape here. Okay. Okay, so this is what we are going to do. I'm going to get my colors here. All right. Now we're going to get our orange here, our illustration orange. Love this color so much. And you know what's great about Createx? This bottle is like from 2012. Mr. Dwayne, thank you for the super chat, my friend. Really appreciate you, sir. always love your knowledge that you share with us. You are definitely the one of the kings of wicked paint, that's for sure. So thank you always for taking the time out from your busy schedule. 4 months of commissions booked, unbelievable. That alone is success, right? Thank you, sir. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's see if this ratio, if we got it correct. Fingers crossed. It's getting close. See that? It's close. So that's good. Pretty close. I mean, it's really close. But sometimes you have to tweak it a little bit, and that's okay. I mean, but you get close right off the bat, like bam, you know, that's amazing when that could happen. Just need to tone it down a notch, that's all. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's see if this kind of brings it pretty close to where we want to be. Wow, that's really nice. Maybe it's a little more saturated than perfect, but that's okay. I'm going to go ahead and 4011 it. That will kind of kill the saturation a little bit, make it run through the airbrush a little bit better. And we're keeping the other airbrush with the white and orange mixture so we can go back and forth, but now we're coming in with the next darker color. You see that? The next darker color? Alright, so again, we got to get rid of the pink that's in here, which is great. And Dwayne, thanks again for the wonderful super chat, my friend. Really appreciate you. You're all just super amazing. And, you know, even not feeling well today, I'm like, I just want to sleep. But I just was like, I'm not missing my live stream. There's no way. I'm not missing my friends. Because you are all my friends. I know that might sound, you know, like I don't have a life. But I think I do have a life. And in a modern day world, you guys are my friends, you guys and girls. So thank you for being my friend. You guys and girls. Okay, so now we have this. Again, you know, let's go ahead and not run the gambit. And I'm gonna have to run my strainer in the sink, and I'll be right back. Let's see. Be right back, guys. So, one of the things I want to really say is, you know, straining the paint is a little thing that anyone can do, right? It's just anyone can do, and it's just going to make your airbrushing session so much more fun. So let's try and make that happen. You know, strain our paint as much as possible, and I think that would be great. And oh, that's a beautiful color, guys. And now here is the real trouble, is that cap. It has that lighter color paint in there, and that will just really just beat a fly in the ointment or something like that. The monkey in the wrench or something. Let's see. So now let's take a look at this color here. Huh. There we go. See that beautiful rich color? And that's Eddie's skin tones. Maybe a little more saturated than I want, but that's okay. Dwayne always strains his paint. That is so cool. I have been considered as your friend for years now. Bill, thank you. I profoundly appreciate that, sir, and I consider you a friend as well. Thank you. Thank you so much, my friend. That makes me feel great. I really appreciate you. And Dwayne says he does use a cutter a lot if doing sides of tanks helmets where you need matching art. I can understand that. And Astral says he loves to get back into custom airbrushing but no longer have auto space. It was great fun when he did. Let me take a sip of this this teeth. Oh, we're doing good. And so now we have this nice darker color. So let's set this up. So now we're hitting the darker colors, guys. And let's see, I want to see what you all see when I'm painting. So now it's up to me to come in and not just paint over what I did, but kind of make those forms turn, you know what I mean? And so we have to go next to the next darker color, and that's how we make it turn. So think of it like working with inks, right? You go slightly darker and darker as it goes away from the light. Same thing. We're doing the same thing, but we're using color, hue, and value at the same time. So it's kind of like juggling. You're juggling two things as opposed to one thing. So that's interesting. Dwayne says he may have to send you a motorcycle tank to play with. I would love that, my friend. You know, I also want to do a helmet. Now, quick question for you, Dwayne. Let's say I did do a motorcycle helmet. I don't have to clear coat, right? That I could have that done by someone else and it would come out fine. I would just have to make sure that they're recommended, because I wouldn't want to ruin my artwork having myself clear coat it. You know what I mean, sir? So now look as we build the dark. See how he starts to get richer. And I'm pumping that trigger as I'm doing it. And notice that, you know, I have a good distance away, you know. That's so important. Distance is everything, because the closer I am, I'm going to get the tight detail like this. See that? I can get tight detail because I'm closer. But if I'm further away, I can get the texture that I like. I can get the smoothness and all that. So that would be amazing. So here comes the darks, right? So I'm putting this kind of mid-tone, rich, beautiful oranges and, you know, wonderful colors. Now these same oranges are in your most pale orange guy like myself. The universality of skin tone is really amazing, how close we all are. And Dwayne says, do the art and send it off to clear coat. He doesn't clear coat his own stuff, hates the smell. Oh, very cool. Is it expensive to have it done? I bet you put that in the price, right, sir? That makes sense. Beautiful, rich colors where I want them. Remember over here we had that really dull kind of value, but it was like a dull color, and we killed it with the white and it looked terrible, and now it's the payoff, right? So sometimes you got to break things to fix them. But just make sure that, you know, you have a game plan, right? You don't want to break it and say, okay, how do I fix it? You want to have a game plan with that. Astral says yes. He had a lot of problems with clear coating in his garage. Had temperature issues, vapor, flies, and dust. It was a nightmare. Send it to a pro. Wow, that's great. I would love to do that. I think that, you know, I can probably, you know, do some stuff that people might enjoy, right? Especially like, I'm really fascinated with goalie helmets, you know, doing something really epic for a goalie, you know, that would be a lot of fun. And if I have time, I'm actually coming in with a darker color, and we're going to see how he really starts to evolve. So right here at the corner of the mouth, let's look at the corner of the mouth, everybody, here. So there's this muscle called the depressor anguli oris, and the name is in the name describes it. Depressor brings the lips down at a downward angle. So the depressor anguli, this brings it down at an angle, and the oris means the mouth. So the depressor anguli oris is right here at the corner of the mouth, and you can see that it comes down. And it also is part of, it is right next to this jowl fat compartment that is kind of like the size of a lima bean there too. And that creates that kind of shape from the corner of the mouth and comes down. So it's just look out for it next time you're painting your portraits, or even just looking at people. You'll be like, oh wow, I see the depressor anguli oris. Thanks, Tim. Hopefully. And Dwayne says he was just you just gave 6 Harley tanks. Have to get with you on the color you would like. Oh, that would be amazing, my friend. That would be great. I would really love that, Dwayne. That would be just above and beyond, I have to say. Oh man, whatever you have that you could, whatever color you think you decide, that would be just like out of this world. And so you see how it's blotchy here? Well, that's a job for the orange and white mixture, right? Because then it got too dark. So we can just kind of kill it a little bit. See how we can kind of calm things down? And that's why you want to have the orange and white mixture in another airbrush just sitting there, because you want to go back and forth and kind of create the wonderful texture of the skin. And you want the painting to look like a Jerome, John Leon Jerome, black, cool, that would be amazing. Oh man, that's great. I'd pay for shipping, definitely, sir, and I would be super thankful. So what I am, so my thinking, so here's my thinking. So when I'm working on a painting, I'm always kind of thinking about what I want it to look like, right? What's my goal? What's my vision for this painting? Not just to, create what I'm seeing. That's too easy, right? That everyone's going to do that. But I want to have a vision, right? I want to have a vision on what I'm thinking of. So I want to show you all. I'm going to bring in a painting by Jean-Leon Jerome. And I think this was the original reason why this struck me, because it reminded me, he's a 19th century painter, born in 1824, died in 1904, and he lived in France. And I believe he studied with, I think he studied with a student of Ingres, who Ingres is my favorite, right? My favorite artist. Let's go ahead and go with images. I should be able to find it so everyone can see exactly what I'm thinking here. Let's see. So here's a picture of Jerome. It's not exactly what I had envisioned, but just the way that he paints is just fantastic. This should be good enough. Oh, right. Yep, that's not it. I think this is it. This reminds me of the Eddie Murphy skin tones. And we'll just kind of save the image. And we'll put it in Eddie. And now I'll just bring that image in real quick to show you all. And we go here. And here. Pictures. Got to go to Eddie. And here's Jerome. So this kind of reminded me of why I was thinking of, one of the reasons why I love this, because a lot of Jerome's paintings are here in New York, and I kind of grew up, loving his work. And you see these rich skin tones kind of reminds me of Eddie Murphy in this photo. So that's the thought process, and that's the whole thing. We always want to have a little vision when we're painting. So let me see anything I missed from you guys. Uh, Bobby says, I wish I could get my skills to be able to do helmets and stuff. I'm a long way from that. No, you're not. We're going to get you there. So don't worry about that, Bobby. You're going to get there. And you're going to get there a lot faster than you think. And Dwayne says, practice, sir. Also, look at garage sales for pieces to practice on. I will do. Thank you. And Astral says, Bobby, he felt the same when he did auto paints. His mates encouraged him to start, and you just got to crack out a couple, then you'll get the buzz. Great advice from both of you guys. Really appreciate that. Okay, so here's our darker color, and I think I'm going to kind of speed up to the next color just to get a sense of the direction, what all this was about. Let's see. Okay, great. So let's go to the next darker color. I'm going to just get rid of the right here. Let's see here. Let's see. I'm going to bring this over. Make sure I'm in the right screen. So now we're going to go ahead and mix that darker color. So there's a beautiful darker color, and it is dramatic how much darker this is. But let's make this happen. So I want to see it next to the color we just mixed. Oh yeah, definitely a wonderful progression from the value we just did to the next value. This is a real interesting color. Again, it's just so interesting how close colors are in the face. They're so close. It's really scary. Okay, so now we have this, and we definitely can see what we are doing here. Okay, so let's make that color happen. So Eddie's going pretty well so far. We're at 11:23. If I hustle, I could get this to where I want to be. So let's put a little bit of our orange here. And let's go with our next value here. The value of that darker skin tone. Whoop. Let's see if this does it. Not quite. So we know we're in the right direction. We know we're in the wrong direction. So we're in the wrong direction as we speak, but we'll get there because we're determined. Let's see what we got. Ooh, looking good. Almost there. Wow. See that? We're almost there. Maybe one more drop of orange will put us exactly where, 2 drops. Didn't want that to happen. But it might be a happy accident. I think it's nice and darker than the last color, and plus it's a little more ruddy, which I think that's what's going on. And let's 4011 it. That's gonna It's going to dilute it a little bit, but that's okay. It's no good if it doesn't go through the airbrush, right? So that's important. Going through the airbrush is more important than anything. You can have the right color. If it doesn't go through, it doesn't matter. Okay, so now we are going to pull this in. So it's funny, I spent a week oil painting, and I really can't tell my process from oil painting to working in airbrush today. Very similar. And it's just, building up, building. Okay, really loving this color. It maybe not as dark. It's darker than the last value, so at the very least we're building. We're building light to dark, which is perfect. See, there's a lot of lighter color in here. Excuse me, guys. So we have 4 minutes, so I am going to go ahead, and we're not going to be able to strain. We're just going to throw caution to the wind here because we have 4 minutes. Here goes nothing, guys. Put our paints over here. And here we go. Get my pure ref. Remember, you always want to have your reference front and center. And for some reason, I don't have my reference front and center. We'll close this and we'll open it again. Let's see. Here we are. Eddie. Where is he? Over here. Okay. Alright, here goes the next darker color. And you see how, as we're darkening, we're getting rid of any of the fourth blue shift that we made, because we know when we darken it, we're going to get rid of that. So, no problem. And don't worry, you're going to get darker anyway, right? So, we're just building up. Hey, Mr. Todd, thank you so much. It's so good to see you. And Bobby says, Tim, the other night in class, he thought you sent him an SVG file on the hand shield. Oh, I'm going to send that again. I think I sent it to the wrong person. So sorry about that, sir. Got to make sure. Yeah, the other person, I think, was like, oh, thanks for the hand shield. And I'm like, oh, I think it was made for sent for someone else. So I'll make sure I get that to you by tomorrow. And so you see how now we're just nicely building, because now all the colors that we're doing is really setting up for the darker color that comes next. See that, guys? It's really working together. And here is the nasolabial fold. See how that built up really nice. Same thing in here, the corner. So it all went back to working with the white mixture to kind of lighten it up so we can go with the lighter value and just build up our values, right? That was an important consideration. And while we're here, let's put in some of the darks of his lips here. But these darks, without these other values before it, it would not work. So we have to have those other values first. And when I mean value, not only value, but the hue and saturation that goes with it, right? So that's an important consideration. Sorry I was MIA tonight. No problem, my friend. Thank you, Todd, for hanging out. Dwayne says, Night, that's why, uh, right, that's why you get a tank. Clear coat it, then practice art on it. The clear coats allow you to sand it and then do it again and again. Oh, wow, that's so cool. Yes, that is great practice. Oh, man. Yeah, you definitely, it's great to get advice with someone like Dwayne because he's a consummate pro of custom art right here. And we're so lucky to have him to get his expertise. So I appreciate that, Dwayne, so much. And I know everyone else does. We're so fortunate, you know. I learn so much from Dwayne almost every week. And I learn so much from all of you out there, you know. Your questions and your experience, all very, very important. Okay, guys, I would go longer, but I'm running out of gas. So I just want to say thank you so much for hanging out. So here's Eddie so far. I think we made some good, and you can see the thought process, right? Just kind of evolving it, how I mix the colors. Let me show you the colors I mixed today, so you just get an idea of the palette, right? So here they are. We have from light to dark. You know, we have our lightest one here. We have this guy here. This one over here. So it's really cool to see the progression of how we worked. So you see how that is? I mean, it wasn't like on purpose, I'm going to work, you know, it's just how we mix the colors and we really kind of ended up, you know, with the skin tones, right? So it's not about pre-mixing it because pre-mixing won't work because I feel that pre-mixing, you know, one color is going to look different than the other color. So you want to mix your colors as you go. I think that's important with my technique at least. Oh, great. Bobby, thanks so much for hanging out. Mr. Dwayne, I appreciate you. And I appreciate all your feedback. Mr. Todd, thank you for the feel better wish. Thank you, Bobby, for that. Bill, it's great to hang out with you tonight. It's always a pleasure. And so thank you so much for hanging. Dwayne says, great stuff, Tim. Hope you feel better. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate it. Astral says, it's been a blast, everybody. Take care. I do need a little bit of whiskey, I think. I could definitely help. I appreciate it. And if you need to reschedule tomorrow, no, I'm looking forward to that so much. The class I have with Bobby. So looking forward to that. Thanks, Dwayne. Thank you so much, Dwayne, for the super chat. Thank you, Mr. Brad, for the super chat. And thank you, Mr. Dave, for the amazing, generous super chat. Above and beyond, my friend. Thank you for everyone. I feel better hanging out with you guys. You know, you guys are like medicine. And so take care, everybody. Always a pleasure.